What if I told you that Wall Street capitulated on Bitcoin? But not only do they capitulate on Bitcoin, but they actually bought Ethereum. What will my co-host say to that? You'll have to find out here in a few minutes. We got Magic Internet Money joining us to break the charts down. Also, today is the day, the much anticipated press conference from newly appointed AI and crypto czar David Sachs at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. So in about 25 minutes, we'll be streaming that live and giving our live reaction, and also seeing if we can potentially make some money on some trades. We're also going to talk a little bit about what a DeFi protocol, who is very, very low in market cap, and why this could be a really big opportunity. You'll have to find out which one we're talking about. We have that and much, much more in today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go. Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content, where we take old, boring, stale information, repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way. Are we out of the woods when it comes to pullbacks? Because we got just a little flash scare. What if I told you I've never been to the woods? Wouldn't be surprised. I've been to Inglewood. That's about it. Inglewood, huh? Yeah. All right. Well, I'll say this. We got a little taste of a dip yesterday, and I know I had a couple people texting me, and they were like, "Hey, should I sell? What's going on? Are we expecting? Are we expecting another big sell-off? Is Bitcoin going to go back down to 92? I mean, we went from $101,000 on Bitcoin, dropped down to 98.3. So, you know, percentage-wise, it was a nice little tumble there in the span of, 20, 30 minutes. It kind of started spooking some people, but I think it's because, some people have, just recently went through that portfolio scare. They saw their altcoins really take a hit. And so I'm curious. We're right underneath $100,000, David. We will be right above $100,000. You think so? Really. Yes, Robin, because I put a long trade in. Oh, nice. So it has to. Okay, it has to be. There it is. I think Rocco, is Magic ready? Okay, Magic's ready. I want a witness here when I share this information. Okay, Magic, welcome back to the show, man. We appreciate you having us. Before we get into the charts, Magic, there's something I'd like to share. Okay, so yesterday, first day Wall Street reopened. We had the massive freaking tanking of altcoins and Bitcoin over the weekend. Saturday night going into Sunday, Bitcoin wicked down to 92. It's crazy. That price action for that daily candle ended up turning green and became a large hammer candle. Either way, let's take a look at what Wall Street did on Monday. Okay, this is Bitcoin flows. Well, they sold. $234 million flowed out of the ETFs with Fidelity, leading the way at $177 million. So you might be saying, okay, so there's only one other ETF that Wall Street had the ability to buy or sell. They must have sold that one too. Actually, they didn't. Robin, they bought the Ethereum ETF. Fidelity, in fact, bought almost $50 million on behalf of their clients. We saw, I'm not sure what CETH is, but the two Grayscale products also saw inflows of Ethereum. Robin. All right, let me go ahead and put this whole subject to bed, okay? I'm going to put this subject to bed because for those of you that don't know and are watching today, that haven't watched all week, or it's very simple. The situation's going on here. I have faded Ethereum as my personal buy at this moment. I think that Bitcoin will outperform Ethereum. Now, is it out of the realm of possibilities that Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin? I think there's actually a strong likelihood. I think near around 50, 60%. I think that is probably more of a chance of it outperforming Bitcoin than there is Bitcoin outperforming ETH. So why do I keep saying Bitcoin's going to outperform ETH? Because the gap is going to be narrow. Even if Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, we're not going to see a $40,000 Ethereum and a $200,000 Bitcoin. I think you can agree to that, David. Yes. And so for me, there's two scenarios. ETH narrowly outperforms Bitcoin, or ETH massively underperforms Bitcoin. And so for me, why the hell would I take on extra risk and not having a position on Bitcoin versus having a position on ETH? Because the upside for ETH for me is not there. And everything that I've seen in price action since 2021, so for the last 4 years, all price action has pointed that Bitcoin is outperforming ETH. And I understand that in a bear market, Bitcoin's going to outperform, alts are going to bleed. Sure, you could take 2.5 years out of the recent time where Bitcoin and ETH are trading against each other. You could take that out of the time. But the thing is that Bitcoin has now well surpassed its last cycle highs. Well surpassed it. I'm talking, we went 60,000. We've touched damn near $110,000 Bitcoin, and yet ETH is still under $3,000. And so for me, it's not a question on, wow, oh my God, I'm so wrong. ETH has returned more than Bitcoin. I just know if that scenario happens, it's not some life-changing event where you made so much more money on ETH. Why the hell was I sitting in Bitcoin? And so the gains mitigated if ETH outperforms Bitcoin, but ETH has just not moved us so damn long that I'm growing concerned. And it's not just from the price perspective. The ecosystem is not evolving. The dApps are not the dApps that people are using aren't on Ethereum. The network is not growing as far as getting more users, more TVL, more transactions. Maybe it's ticking up slowly, but when compared to other chains like Solana, they're falling behind. And so for me, I'm not taking a risk there, bro. I'm not going to do it. Magic, would you like to weigh in here? Because we've had this conversation last week, bleeding into this week.
That was quite the dump this last week. I don't really know much about the fundamentals of it, so I don't ever really kind of put my foot in my mouth there. What I say is the ETH chart still isn't terrible. It's not a huge portion of my holdings, though. I agree with Robin in terms of being exposed to Bitcoin predominantly over ETH. I do think that ETH has a better shot of outperforming Bitcoin in the remainder of the cycle, but that doesn't mean I'm going to overexpose myself to it. The positions I've taken on ETH I've been holding for well over a year, and it's more of a fraction of like a portfolio because I am a bit of a Bitcoin maximalist, but I will expose some portions of capital to things like Ethereum and Chainlink and other blue chip, alternatives. It's just you can't make that your entire thesis of your, investment portfolio when you have something like Bitcoin that is, I wouldn't say it's safe, but it's as close to safe as you're going to get in this asset class. So I do agree with him to a point. Yeah.
I would just like to remind you, and Magic, while I'm reminding my co-hosts and the chat, if you want to pull up an ETH chart, would love to start there. Bitcoin from its March 2020 lows, the COVID crash, gained 1,500%. Ethereum from the same lows to all-time highs gained 5,600%. So I'm not saying that disparity is going to remain the same or get larger. I think it actually will shrink because new cycle, new layer ones, new retail, they're going different chains. Bitcoin is very unique, and it's the OG cryptocurrency. It is the purpose it serves. There's really no one that can compete with Bitcoin, right? So I will give you that. I don't think it's going to be 4x. I don't think ETH is going to perform 4x what Bitcoin performs. I don't. But I still think that if Bitcoin is at 300K, ETH will be over 10,000. What are you seeing on the Ethereum chart there, Magic?
So we were looking at $2,800 really being that key level. If you guys recall, and we said anything below there, and we're looking back down to this $2,000 zone, which to me is kind of the make or break area in terms of if you lose this, I think that this is a failure, and it probably comes down to all these lows. This quarter one low has been on the chart since essentially it was formed in 2022, and you'll find it across most altcoins. This is actually the low that was made in the January after the prior cycle high when Russia invaded Ukraine. It was a very, very big one, both on the Bitcoin chart and any altcoin you pull up. If you go to the quarter one low from 2022, that thing is phenomenal. XRP is no different. It's just a great level to have. And so you can see it's essentially a back test. This buy up is really nice. This is not something I would have liked to just try to knife catch because you didn't get a proper swing fail. So what you did do that, as a trader in real time, you're looking to see if you can't justify risk. And by leaving this, we don't have a place to just put a stop loss unless you're actively monitoring like order flow. So for me, the chart's still not bad. Like you still have not taken the lows. I hate saying that. And I know people are disgusted with ETH right now, but this is a good candle. Like it's a good candle. It sucks that, I didn't have like bids just sitting there waiting to take advantage of it, but it's not a bad candle. When you look at it on the monthly and you zoom out, as long as you're not closing down here and putting pressure on this level, I mean, this is just a complete rinse of the market. And you see things like that often when you're getting closer and closer to like the high of a cycle or a big washout period. I would really compare it to something like right here when you started seeing mass volatility. The biggest loss I ever took is actually very similar to where we are in the market. It was right over here, in my opinion, when we went from about 42, 43 all the way down to 28. It was drinking and trading. Don't do that. So that was a lesson learned. But, and you'll start finding yourself into these big ranges, which is, I think, is kind of where we're starting to find ourselves now. So with Ethereum, one of the things that we've talked about on this channel before is always going back and looking at Bitcoin dominance. And so I'm bringing Bitcoin dominance into the picture because it is in a unique position in terms of time. So this was the zone we've been looking for in terms of the top for Bitcoin dominance, if you recall. We generally look on the weekly chart for this one. And we had said that when it hit this, that if you gave up this 56% area, this little EQ, that we would be looking for this to probably be a top. However, it did not, formally close below. It came down below, right back above. You've made a new high. You've swung failed the high potentially. This weekly candle has plenty of time left. But if this is a high, we would expect things like Ethereum to perform quite well. And so we have to look and say, is there any kind of credence for that? Can we make that argument? And I think time is the best way to do it. And so when you are looking at the cycle tops and the dominance involved in that, get rid of some of this stuff. We go back to the prior cycles and just say, okay, when Bitcoin started declining, I need to go back to Bitcoin dominance for this one.
And then Magic, I just wanted to point out for our viewers, and I don't know if you're seeing it in real time or noticed, but Bitcoin is having a pretty substantial breakout at the current moment. When we started the show, it was at 99.4. We're over 100,000, 100,500. And so it's been over a $1,000 price swing. Actually, it's over 1,000 or 100,600 now. And so I know that's, it's pretty substantial move for Bitcoin.
There were two setups at play for Bitcoin to buy. I tried to post them on Twitter real time so that people that were interested in where I'd be looking at buys could find it.
I don't know if you have like a 15-minute chart on Bitcoin, but it's pretty big move here. I don't know. It seems odd.
She's moving. So this is today's price action. I actually need to get rid of the previous day data because that's old. But in terms of what's going on here, this is your daily pivot. So the average of this move. So from this price action all the way to here, if you average it out as a horizontal, line, it's 98,308. You've come back and come right to it. So you're getting a good bounce. There's also another zone that was on that setup that we talked about. If we go over to the more formal chart, why you're getting the bounce out of that area, it's more about just like the market structure of the move. So this was one of the trade setups we talked about, and I posted it on Twitter as it was happening so that people would know, hey, this is one of the long areas you should be considering. It's a textbook Gartley looking for an 886 and 1618 expansion, which you exceeded both, but not by too much. And you can see that I've got the B leg marked here. So that is where you'll find price that is consolidating above that made this like double top look right before expansion, like right here. So that needs to be support. And that's what we identified last night. We said the B leg needs to be support. There's a local gold pocket here. You've got your daily pivots there. So, you're getting a good bounce. You've swung fail at the lows. And one would expect that you're probably going to take this high and take out the early shorters at the previous week open. So that's like 102,506 and get into this gold pocket a little bit more. So for me, I would look at this to probably attempt to make a new high. If it was going to fail at a new high, you're going to, you're going to do something as basic as looking back to your gold pocket, which is where you are. So if there was going to be a low time frame rejection to prevent you going higher and making a new high on this rally and getting into this gold pocket formulae, it's going to be right here at about $100,000. But realistically, as long as you're living, and I say living because, wicks are wicks, but as long as you're living above this B leg here, that's the low that came in on Sunday, the 26th, right around, it looks like 10 o'clock. That low is 97,575. Things are fine. Now, the moment we start giving this level up, you're looking at it through the lens of, what's my structure look like on a more medium time frame? And I know you said 15-minute, but these are all contextual things you have to keep in mind, that if we were to come down and lose that B leg we just talked about in this previous week low specifically, things look much worse. And this weekly candle still has 5 days left. So that's why you want to see this like $96,000 to $97,000 area holding. That's why you're getting the bounce that you're getting. There's multiple confluences there. And now you need to see what it's going to do up here at these previous week highs. Because if you notice, since making the high here and sweeping it, you have not closed a weekly candle above this high from January 6th, the first high of the year right here. And it's just a nice SFP level. So you need to see that change of behavior. You want to see the weekly candle close above about $102,777.50. If you see that, it's a good sign. And you can look at challenging maybe the previous week high even at about 106. So, that's how I would, view Bitcoin currently. But the setup was long, it's, you come down here, you haven't closed any daily candles. You're back testing an old SFP level. Really nice support. You have a high time frame or medium time frame trade setup as well to, for invalidation. There was a lot of panic. I didn't actually really know what was going on because I've been without a phone for a good chunk of last week because I live out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And so we're having problems with the mail service out here. I ordered a phone and it took like 5 extra days. It just kept circling where I was at. Which was great to watch online. So
that's exciting.
Yeah. And when I got my phone, like the very first thing I did was I got on my phone and I logged in. I was like, crypto is just getting wrecked. And I was, in Kansas City when I was getting it set up at a friend's house. And I was like, this is wow.
Like you see the, you ordered DoorDash and you see the driver on the map just doing circles like, dude, make it right.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how it was. But, not to get too far off topic, but I do want to make sure we cover the dominance because I think that's really important for people to actually pay attention to with Ethereum and altcoins coming up because it plays into the length of time that this cycle is going to be. And when you look at the previous highs, right? So we have them marked off here. This is the cycle top from 2017. Here's your cycle high from 2021, right? So you'll notice here in about February that you start downtrending pretty heavily. Obviously Bitcoin dominance is flat. It's pretty much the entire market up into this point. And then all of a sudden altcoins are generated, the ICO craze happens, and this is going on, right? But you don't top until here. Similarly here, you don't actually make a top until here. So Bitcoin dominance does decline. So you can start measuring when that happens. So if we marked out those same dates on the BLX chart now and went back to those cycles and said, okay, this is the 27th of February in 2017, it took 287 days to get to the top. Even though Bitcoin dominance had topped here, Bitcoin didn't top till here. We look over here, exact same thing. Dominance topped here, Bitcoin tops here. That's 315 days. So if we look where we are and we take those two, averages in terms of length of time, 287 days and 315, this is what it would look like if we had a traditional Bitcoin cycle. It would look like Bitcoin dominance would be topping sometime around now. Doesn't mean it's going to be this week, but it would suggest that we're in that time frame where if we see a top on Bitcoin dominance, that's going to be a very good time to, if you've been holding on to altcoins and you're in pain, it's a good time to maybe hopefully get some reprieve. And TA would finally say so, and that would bode well for Ethereum as well. Ethereum being an altcoin, being one of the major players. I'm sure it'll also benefit Solana and other ones, but that's what I would be paying attention to is the dominance chart right now. What is it doing? Because if we are putting in a formal top here, swing failing, coming down back to these like 56% area over time, we can expect similar cycle behavior. One would assume similar cycle behavior. Doesn't mean it can't be different. It's just that's the way it's been. So it's kind of what we look for now. But I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that. I don't know if you guys look at Bitcoin dominance at all, or if like that's something you guys watch, but it is something that I look into on a high time frame basis.
I peek at it. I don't pay too much attention to it, but I definitely, you know, I'm cognizant of where Bitcoin's dominance is and where it's going to top out. You know, I'll be honest with you, dude. I am surprised this deep in the bull market that Bitcoin is still hitting 60+% in dominance. I really am. Normally we don't see that, right? When we're in the depths of the bull market, whether it's, you know, we're in inning 5, 6, 7, or 8, because I think we're in the latter half of the bull market. I
mean, I think on December 28th, 2020, 1 year out from the end of the cycle, it was sitting at 73%.
Yeah.
You know, we're almost in that same position now where if you were to 1-to-1 it, we're about 300 days out. If you were to say the exact same time length, if they play out the same, you know, there's no guarantee they will.
We didn't see that first top until what, March, April?
I think it was April. Yeah,
right?
I think it was April. Yeah, I think it was April, like the second week. Yeah, it's right here, April 12th.
Yeah,
week of April 12th. So,
yeah, I mean,
it's
interesting how this is going to play out. But just know that, you know, when dominance eventually tops out and starts coming down, you know, historically speaking, alt season starts ripping. It's just
it would be ideal. I didn't quite get it done, but I was marking out where Ethereum was at in terms of when Bitcoin had dominance had topped, because I thought that was really interesting. And I really wish I used Coinbase's chart. That's right. I used Coinbase and I used the USD because I think that had the best history. This is where Bitcoin topped. Or on the monthly, we need to go to the weekly. Bitcoin topped in dominance in 2017 here, which, you know, can you count this one? Because there's not much going on in the market in terms of other assets. But obviously, you know, when this candle opened at that top, it was at 1474. And, you know, obviously it closes at like 1400 for the cycle. But here, after that cycle, this one opens up at $684 and then runs to, you know, 4,700. About 48.67. So there's a lot that can still go on with this candle. You know, it just depends. And where Ethereum is now, my targets for Ethereum kind of remain the same because there's nothing that's really invalidated it for me still. So when I'm holding these, I'm still looking for that like 5, 6, 8K Ethereum. But to Robin's point earlier, you know, when you look at it and you say, you know, is it worth shifting Bitcoin? Bitcoin might run to like, you know, 140, 150, 160, which from here's what, like a 50% gain. Is it worth shifting my Bitcoin over for Ethereum if it's only going to run 100% from here? You know, it's a gamble. So it's got to be a calculated risk as an investor and trader. You're wanting to maximize gains, but you also want to make sure you're not maximizing exposure to the unknown risk that could be, because you could be wrong. So,
yeah, that's the one thing is no one's right 100% of the time, but that's why you always proceed with caution and have proper risk management. Magic, we appreciate you for joining us, man. Thank you so much. They're about to go live on the David Sachs press conference. So we'll be covering that live here and giving our reaction in real time. And so Magic, we thank you so much for joining us as always. And any parting words before we let you go?
No, man. Everybody enjoy the weather. If it's warm where you are, it's freezing here. So we'll see you next week.
Got to make sure to Vegas is nice and like it's in the 70s.
It's toasty out here,
beautiful,
man.
Bro. Beautiful. It's the most beautiful weather ever.
Awesome. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Thank you, Magic. Take care, brother. All right. We do have our eye on the hearing. It has not started yet. As soon as it starts, we will cut to it and we will be watching this live with you, the community. So a lot of important things. We did enter into a Bitcoin and ETH long position around 8 a.m. So around 3 hours ago this morning, we gave that call to our Patreon members. Also to the people that are copy trading us, you automatically were entered into those trades as well. And so those are both in the green. Of course, anything can happen with trading, but we expect this is going to be all about crypto. This is going to be all about digital assets. And I don't know, but you have the president's son yesterday tweeting, now would be a good time to accumulate ETH. Thank me later. And then a day later, we have this press conference. I'm just speculating here. I don't know what that's going to mean. I'm not trying to be funny, but either way, we got that. We're going to be
And
covering
I did before we get into that. I did want to just give a little love to the chat. If you're new here, say hello. We'd love to give you a little shout out. We have XIO, AI, Jay Ryan, Wyatt G, Frankie Finance, Luigi, Tommy Twister, Genzi, Kilgano, Clayton Green, Focus, and Proper. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right. Couple things here to hit before this thing starts, because it has not started yet. We got Rob keeping an eye on that. Let's take a look here. Liquidity returns on exchanges through USDC inflows. This was by cryptopolitan.com. USDC is growing in the past month with over 1 billion tokens entering exchanges in a single day. You know, the Fed has their money printer. We have ours, and they're called Circle and Tether. The total supply of stablecoins currently is at $215 million. So, liquidity. I don't know, Rob. Is this what we need? I mean, like, do you put a lot into when they start? You know, you see 250 million USDC printed on Solana or issued on Ethereum. How much weight do you put on that? And is that to you like a precursor to prices going up? Because yesterday we saw on the Tron network and on the Solana network around $250 to $500 million were issued in USDC and USDT combined. And hey, you know, crypto's going up. How much do you put on that? How much weight do you put on that?
On the shift of stablecoins?
Yeah, like, do you see that? And then you're like, okay, prices.
I mean, it's the fuel, right? And so you can't have a rocket without the fuel. Without the stablecoin, you're not going to have price accumulation on anything outside of Bitcoin, right? I think that Bitcoin in itself, it kind of stands out because you don't need stablecoins to buy Bitcoin. There is a large percentage of Bitcoin that is bought in stablecoins. I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't, but realistically, a lot of people get exposure to Bitcoin simply onboarding dollars into an exchange and then buying Bitcoin outright that way. And then also you have the ETF products and over the counter, which is also done with dollars through the corporate accounts that are in the back door. So outside of Bitcoin, then absolutely, if you're wondering what's going on with the altcoins, what's going on with Solana, what's going on with Cardano, what's going on, it's all a measure of how much stablecoin is in the ecosystem. Is it increasing? Because if it's increasing, there's more fuel in the rocket, right? I mean, it's as simple as that. You lack the stablecoins, you don't have the inflows, people can't pull the trigger, FOMO buy, go in. Not to say that price won't go up, but it's just not, it's a lot harder to move without the extra capital there sitting on the sidelines, right? How many people have you heard where they might not be that deep into crypto and they'll tell you like, hey, I want to, they'll hear about some new coin and they'll be like, hey, I wanted to buy it. Where can I buy it? And you're like, well, you have to go to a DEX and then transfer over here to over here. You're like, I can't just get it on Coinbase? Like, no. And that's just because of the ease of pulling the trigger, right? Is the ease of use. So just imagine if those are on Coinbase, or just imagine if they were on a widely traded DEX that has tons of stable coins. It's easy for someone that gets excited, that hears about it, to go in and buy it.
Right.
Or if a narrative change, or there's some headline, or like, hey, did you hear the U.S. government's going to partner with you? Like, all of that circles back to stablecoins. At the end of the day, it does. So altcoins, that's the lifeblood. So for me, you have to pay attention to it, bro. You have to pay attention to it. And the sad reality of it is, and I hate to tell you guys, is that, well, a lot of chains out here don't have a lot of stable coins. At least don't have a lot of,
Some don't have any.
Yeah, some don't have any. Some have some, but they're not the big boys. Some have the big boys, but they just don't have a lot of stable coin. Not a lot of people are actually using them, right?
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, man. Just proceed with caution, right? I would say, hey, pay attention, because if they don't have stable coins, then it's gonna be hard to take off.
I saw a couple of comments when the press conference. It's right behind you on the wall, and so this is the feed. So as soon as you see it pop up, we'll stop talking, but obviously we're not just gonna sit here in silence. But you mentioned rocket fuel. This might be some nice rocket fuel here, my friend. First FTX payments coming in 2 weeks. They start February 18th, and it's gonna be for the people that are due less than $50,000 to the creditor. So could this be an injection of capital? Let's not forget, tax season is upon us. 66% of Americans who file taxes receive a refund. Now, the question then becomes, well, how much of that money is going to flow into crypto, into Bitcoin? Definitely know with FTX, with the repayment to the creditors, these are already crypto native people. Now, some of them, obviously, it might be, they might have gotten a bad taste in their mouth. And maybe FTX was their first platform they ever used. And they lost money like, yeah, screw this. I'm never doing this again. There's also some people who've been in the space a while and they just got stuck in FTX when it went under. And so how much of that money will get redeployed into the markets, especially when you look across the board and ETH is under 3,000, AVAX is under $30. You have projects like Cardano under $1, right? Some of these retail-friendly projects, are these people going to look at that as a buying opportunity? I believe they will. Now, how much of that remains to be seen. The thumbnail in today's show said what to buy. So while we're waiting for the press conference to begin, let's talk about what should people buy? Or what is at least is at a good price or has had enough of a retracement to make us want to buy. So let's go down the list. So, Magic already covered Bitcoin and ETH. XRP at $2.70. To you, Robin, is this a buy? What are your thoughts?
At
$2. Now we know XRP.
I absolutely think so. But the thing is it the best buy right now? If you're a big believer in XRP, you think it's going to get to $10, and then the answer is yes. Now, is it the best value since that most recent pullback? The answer is no. And so this really depends on where you stand on XRP, I think, realistically. If you're looking for the absolute best entry point on an altcoin that's down from the Sunday pullback, it ain't XRP, man. It's really not. But I have a position on XRP. I put in a long position on XRP because I believe that this committee press conference is this banking committee press conference.
Yeah.
I think they're going to mention XRP, or at least there's going to be some kind of.
You think so?
I think so, man.
You might be right.
And you got to think about it this way. You had Brad Garlinghouse have dinner with Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago prior to Trump getting elected.
Yeah.
You also have insiders and rumors running rampant about XRP trying to fuck up the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Where did those rumors come from? Obviously,
the maxis.
Yeah, but why did they?
Because they're meeting them.
Because there's something going on, right? There's some conversations going on. There's something moving on or moving around in the background.
Yeah, they wouldn't bring attention to it if they weren't.
Exactly. So there's got to be some kind of rumor truth to it. There's got to be some truth to the rumors. Now, will they announce some partnership with Ripple? Will they say they're using Ripple in some way? Are they going to say they're going to buy XRP as part of a strategic reserve basket? I don't know about the details. And maybe they don't announce anything. However, because there's been so much commotion about XRP in the government, and there's also been Brad Garlinghouse had dinner with Trump.
They had beef,
like 3 weeks ago. And so I think it's kind of foolish at this point not to have a long position. I'll be honest with you. I don't see any situation where XRP dumps at this point. I mean, do you see any way that they come out of this meeting? And anything's possible, I guess.
Out of the meeting. I mean, we have a bunch of buy the rumor, sell the news events, right? So that could obviously happen, but
this is way down from where it was at $3. It was over $3 3 days ago.
It got to like $3.
It was over $3, and what was the height of it?
$3.40, 50 cents, something like that.
So
a little higher.
And you're 70 cents away. We've already had a big breakout. I mean, it's number 3 on the market cap list. I honestly, bro, I think if you're a trader and you got some money just sitting around, I have a long position. Oh, you've seen my long position.
Yeah.
I have a long position opened up on XRP on my personal account. It's got a good amount of X's on it, so it's a little degen. But I'm telling you, I think we come.
How many X?
10x, 10x. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, I mean 10x is still a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean my entry point's $2.27.
That's pretty good.
So, anyways, here we go. Let's go. Unmute.
Scott, Chairman French Hill, Chairman John Bozeman, and Chairman G.T. Thompson. So thank you all for your leadership and commitment to addressing some of the most important opportunities of our time in ensuring that the U.S. remains at the forefront of innovation in digital assets. The President said in his executive order in the first week that it's the policy of his administration to support the responsible growth and use of digital assets, blockchain technology, and related technologies across all sectors of the economy. And he established an executive branch working group for digital assets, which includes Secretary Besson at Treasury, Secretary Noem, soon to be confirmed Attorney General Bondi, Secretary Lutnick at Commerce, and all the other key administration officials that have an equity in crypto. And similarly, the SEC has set up a crypto task force led by Hester Peirce, which is also looking at this issue. And together, our objective is to accomplish the task the President assigned for us in his EO, which is to propose a federal regulatory framework governing the issuance and operation of digital assets, including stablecoins, in the United States. I've talked to many founders over the past few years, and they've told me repeatedly that the number one thing they need from Washington is regulatory clarity. They just want to know what the rules of the road are so they can abide by them. We're coming off, frankly, 4 years of arbitrary prosecution and persecution of crypto companies where the SEC wouldn't tell founders what the rules were, but then they would prosecute them. And many founders have even told me stories of being debanked personally just because they had founded a crypto company. All of this approach was driving this important technology of the future offshore, and we want to keep that innovation onshore in the US. Financial assets are destined to become digital, just like every analog industry has become digital, and we want that value creation to happen in the United States rather than giving it away to other countries. This will also, I should add, be much better for consumer protection because it's easier for regulators to supervise an activity when it's onshore. And it's probably not a coincidence that the single biggest fraud in the history of crypto, which was FTX, was based in the Bahamas. By moving the innovation onshore, it'll be easier to separate out the good actors from the bad actors. And we want to encourage the good actors, the innovators, while protecting the market from the bad actors. And I think a market structure legislation with clear definitions and fair rules will do that. I want to say additionally, we're excited about working with both the House and Senate on stablecoin legislation. I know Senator Hagerty introduced a bill today. This stablecoins really have the potential to ensure American dollar dominance internationally, to increase the usage of the U.S. dollar digitally as the world's reserve currency, and in the process create potentially trillions of dollars of demand for U.S. treasuries, which could lower long-term interest rates. So let me stop there, and I want to thank the chairman here today, Chairman Scott, Chairman Hill, Chairman Bozeman, Chairman Thompson. And I look forward to working with them as part of the administration to help turn President Trump's policy into reality. This was a week one priority for the administration, and we're excited that our counterparts in Congress are equally committed to ensuring American dominance in digital assets. I look forward to working with each of you. And with that, I want to say work with each of you in creating a golden age in digital assets. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chairman Scott. Thank you.
I think David represents promises made, promises kept. I love the campaign trail when President Trump was out there making promises, and we see today he's keeping those promises. And in so many ways, I think back to a kid as I was a long time ago, growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty, and hoping that the American dream would one day be accessible for me. I think that we're standing here today at the precipice of greatness for so many kids who are looking forward to democratization, having access points for their families and for themselves that makes it easier and less expensive to do business in this country. I love the concept that we see today, synergy within the administration, the House, and the Senate, focusing not on ourselves, but focusing on working class Americans who desperately need to reduce their prices and increase their access. That's what the bicameral working group will help tackle. I have a pre-existing working friendship with GT and French and John. And the good news is we come together already having proven the ability to work together to get things done for the American people. It's an exciting time to be an American. And as David said, the golden age has begun. And the good news is it's going to get better. I'm excited about what we will accomplish for the American people. I'm excited about the synergistic approach that we're taking in the House and the Senate, with the White House leading the way. Next, you'll hear from Chairman French Hill.
Thank you, Chairman Scott, and David Sachs, thank you for coming to Capitol Hill to celebrate with us the fact that in the 119th Congress, we have a bicameral project for both a stablecoins bill and a regulatory framework that will bring clarity to digital assets in the United States so that we are the land of opportunity, the land of innovation that we have been for decades in so many other technologies. We don't want to be behind in financial technology and digital assets in the United States, but our innovators, as David Sachs reported, need clarity. They need to know what the rules of the road are, and that's why I'm excited to be here today to share this announcement that we're forming a working group on a bicameral basis between the House Financial Services Committee, the Senate Banking Committee, the House Agriculture Committee, and the Senate Agriculture Committee to make progress on that clarity for a regulatory framework and to create and structure a stablecoins bill that will lend itself to advancing America as the reserve currency of the world. This is a big issue. Bicameral support this year is dynamic because last year in the 118th Congress, we had success on a bipartisan basis in the House on both stablecoin legislation moving out of the House Financial Services Committee and for the regulatory framework moving across the House floor with a strong bipartisan vote. 71 Democrats joined House Republicans in moving that policy forward. So in my view, with the wind at our back of a leader like President Trump, who knows that financial innovation, financial technology is where America's heart is, where our entrepreneurs' hearts are, that will lead from the executive branch. And now, with this bicameral partnership with Senate Agriculture and Senate Banking, along with our House committees, I look very, very forward to the success we're going to have in the 119th Congress. And let me ask my good friend from Arkansas, a fellow Razorback, the chairman of the House Ag Committee, John Bozeman.
Stablecoin bill, pretty big, man.
We're all
Yeah,
still
Marcus don't
excited
like it,
about the big Kentucky win. So it's good to be with you all. We've been working hard on this for the last 3 years, and we've had our ups and our downs. When we started working on it, crypto was gaining popularity, and then with Sam Bankman-Fried and other things, it seemed like perhaps it was in trouble. It's rebounded, though, and is bigger than ever. So our goal is to make sure that consumers are protected, make sure that the industry, in order for it to grow and be able to offer all of the things that it does offer to the various disciplines that are out there, whether you're a bank or whether you're investing a client's money for their retirement or whatever, you've got protections, there's structure in it, and it will allow the industry itself, because it is regulated, people have confidence in that, to grow. It's a little different than our normal situations in the sense we've got these jurisdiction things. So I'm the chairman of AG. Why am I here? Because we have the Commodities Futures Trading Commission. And some Some assets are commodities, some are securities. So the SEC has jurisdiction over the securities, CFTC has jurisdiction over the other. So the idea that we're working together, again, we've all been working separately. We've made progress over the last several years, but working together now with purpose, and then also having the White House, having the czar over here, again, to visit with him and really set up a structure so that we can get a final structure to make this thing work is very, very important. So I appreciate Senator Scott, I think, really coming up with that idea. And I think it's a good one, and we're looking forward to actually get some things accomplished in the next several months.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congressman G.T. Thompson, Chair of the House Agriculture Committee. And this is what we're doing today is sort of the next step and what will be a milestone, which will be a great accomplishment for our country. You know, America really was a leader when it came to Internet 1.0, right? It was the Internet of knowledge. And the Internet 2.0, again, it was America that led that for the world, not just for our citizens, but for the world. And that was the Internet of things. And then Internet 3.0 is what we're talking about today, and that's the Internet of value. And we're approaching it in a principled way. You know, my colleagues here mentioned a couple of those. Number one, do no harm. You know, protect consumers, provide that regulatory structure, that certainty, both for the industry, but quite frankly for the consumers as well. And secondly is foster innovation, because the opportunities are just really are unimaginable. Well, what I believe is that whatever's over the horizon is going to be very, very exciting. So I'm really, well, first of all, just very thankful to President Trump for his historic efforts to bring regulatory clarity to the digital assets markets. His leadership with the work that David Sachs is going to lead on his behalf is going to be a game changer for American competitiveness in the global race to build the new economy. The president could not have picked a better person to helm his AI and digital asset efforts. David brings a wealth of experience in exploring new technologies and building successful businesses to this new role. You know, we've had great conversations, and I know that he is laser focused on bringing certainty to digital asset markets. I want to congratulate my friend, Chairman French Hill. He is the right man to lead the Financial Services Committee in the House at this moment, in this time. And he's a great partner and the type of leader that we need to advance this issue. We worked incredibly well last Congress together alongside Patrick McHenry, and I'm excited to build on that work together. I also want to congratulate our newly elevated Senate colleagues, Chairman Bozeman and Chairman Scott. Perhaps there's no one more pleased than me to be able to say Chairman Bozeman. John and Tim and their members are going to bring a wealth of talent and expertise to this discussion from the Senate majority. We did incredible work in the House last Congress in the 118th, and I'm proud of the efforts that went into our historic vote on FIT 21. I'm equally excited to have these partners and a new administration in place to be able to finish the job. I'm thrilled to lead House Agriculture Committee members as we work with this incredible team to put a bill on President Trump's desk. And I think at this point we're going to be in a position to take a few questions.
Thank you, everyone. We're going to take some questions from the crowd. When you direct your questions, can you please say your name and the outlet you're with? Emily, we'll start with you.
Emily Wilkins, CNBC. Thanks so much for holding this today. I wanted to start off, I mean, you're talking about legislation. Can you talk a little bit about FIT 21 last time, the bill that you plan to introduce again? What differences are you going to see now that we have the trifecta in Washington?
Well, thanks, Emily. We did do good work, good, strong bipartisan work on FIT 21, which was the clarity for a market structure bill. That bill, I think, had the basics for the exact bill that we'll propose to introduce again in the 119th Congress. There may be some modest changes, But it had bipartisan support. We did a lot of work in our markup and in the floor preparation for it in both the Ag Committee under Dusty Johnson leadership and G.T. Thompson's leadership, and in House Financial Services. So on the regulatory framework bill, that'll be the approach that the House takes. On stable coins, I think you'll see us have a bill that's very similar to the approach that's been taken in the Senate. Recently, Senator Hagerty's introduced legislation. That bill was closer to the original proposal that Patrick McHenry put in place early in the 118th Congress, and I think you'll see the House expose a draft for stable coins that would be similar to the approach taken by Senator Hagerty. But let me ask GT or to comment or Tim.
So I established this year a digital asset subcommittee so that we could take a deep dive into market structure as well as stable coins. Good news is stable coins led by Bill Hagerty on the Senate side out already today. We've seen Cynthia Lummis as a co-sponsor. Market structure is a place where you have left and right leaning in. We have members from Gillibrand and Lummis working together in the past, now working together in the future, coming to the table to create the framework for the Senate so that we can harmonize Fit 21, the parts that we see as a path forward to a signature into law. So the good news is, from my perspective, having the Digital Asset Subcommittee really working on the market structure at the same time, simultaneously having Bill Hagerty lead the conversation around stable coins, having that bill out for us to take a look at, and there will be an amendment process, will be a part of that for us. And then hopefully, very quickly, we'll see the House, they're working on it as well, so we'll have a legislation that's able to go to the President's desk.
Let me just say, I'm very proud of the work that we did in 118th with Fit 21, and that was done in, you heard others talk about, we had Republicans and Democrats certainly in committee and on the House floor, significant vote that we achieved, but I like to say we achieved that in a tripartisan way. We worked in bringing the industry, bringing key stakeholders to the table, and so I look forward to, quite frankly, on working with my colleagues here and President Trump to continue that process of refining what we do, whether it's market structures and the other aspects of this bill.
Brendan Peterson with Punchbowl News. I wanted to ask if you all are thinking about making changes to anti-money laundering law as a part of this push, given the concerns we've heard about debanking in the crypto sector and beyond, and the broader concerns about money transmitter licenses and the sensitivities of AML.
Yeah. We're certainly open for discussion. One of the things that the subcommittee will take a look at is the whole playing field. I mean, at the end of the day, to get all of our members on board, we're going to have to be open to comments and thoughts on the issue. I think we're in a good place. The Bank Secrecy Act is something that we've discussed with the other side. They have a focus on it. I think that the broader conversation should not be about digital assets alone. It's about bad actors doing bad things by any means necessary. And so having that conversation from a panoramic view and not simply from an digital asset perspective is going to be important for us to get to the end of that conversation.
Brendan, I would add, having been the subcommittee chair in the last Congress, and Brian Stiles is going to have that mission this time. He'll do an excellent job, I think, on the market structure bill and the stablecoin bill as it relates to the security aspects of it. We were very sensitive in the 118th Congress about the law enforcement aspects of digital assets, not any different than we are about any other means of transfer of or payment method, whether you're talking about cash or the ACH system or real-time payments. This is an important point. I agree with Senator Scott completely. We'll listen to our members. But in the drafts that we pro-offered last year that, as I say, we had bipartisan support for, they had strict AML standards in them for this digital arrangement for digital assets that are not unlike the requirements out in the analog financial services space. It's why we call the bills fit for purpose, because this is not an intermediated form of finance anymore, and so these laws have to reflect how transactions are conducted. But AML and BSA are important for every member on both sides of the Capitol.
Thank you for doing this.
both of the stablecoin and the FIT bills last year, I'm just curious this year whether you have any idea of the timeline when you expect to get those worked through Congress, and then also could this ride along anything like the Farm Bill, for instance, given the agriculture connection?
Yo, what are they asking here, man? Come on.
Well, we have to work on getting the Farm Bill. and we're going to do that. Time-wise, I think one of the most important things we're doing now, with every Congress, we have new members that retire or are defeated, and we have new members coming in. So we're starting that now and have started member education. And quite honestly, crypto is not the easiest thing to wrap your mind around. Not everyone comes into Congress with a good, full understanding and a thorough knowledge. And so member education is what our first goal is here. And then how it times up, it is, I think we've shown the ability to be able to move a market structures bill, well, FIT 21 as a whole, out of the House in the past. I think we're probably in a really good position to, when we conclude our work and preparation this time around, to be able to do that. So I don't see this being attached to a farm bill.
Thank you.
Hang on one second.
I would say, if I was thinking about this a little bit, I think what we have is an opportunity to get things done. My theory is the first 100 days of a new administration is important. On the Senate side, my goal is to be as aggressive as possible to achieve an objective of having bills through the Senate in 100 days.
Just to go back to Emily's question on this and combine it with timing, Maeve, is here's the way to think about it. We did a lot of work in the 118th Congress in the House. So we're prepared to move forward in the House Financial Services Committee, and I won't speak for Chairman Thompson, by introducing legislation or having discussion drafts of our legislation, attaching those to a set of committee hearings. But it's exactly as GT points out. We have new members, we've got to do new member education. And so we have to level set here. This is why Chairman Bozeman and Chairman Scott have stepped up digital assets at a subcommittee level to bring members along and do that member education here in the Senate, something that in the House, we had the benefit, obviously of 2 Congresses working on that. So I think a key element now, though, is the education and technical assistance that can be provided to members both in the House and Senate from the executive branch now, as President Trump's leadership posts are confirmed, and key among them is his AI and crypto advisor, David Sachs. And David, would you want to speak to this issue of helping members come up to speed?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So this is what we're here for, and I actually did a session even before the start of this Congress with Speaker Johnson. We did a great sort of open dialogue with members of the House in that case, and I think part of what we're here to do is provide resources on education. Some of them can be outside advisors, kind of luminaries in the industry, and we're talking to a lot of those people. And then I'm also available anytime to talk to members about this. It can crypto can be a esoteric subject, and it is good to explain it, to kind of demystify it, because I think once you understand that, you've kind of got the cryptocurrency itself, like Bitcoin, but then what it really runs on are blockchains, which are just distributed ledgers. It's really a new type of decentralized computing platform, and there's a lot of things that can be built on that computing platform. So in any event, we're happy here to provide those resources to help explain it, both on Capitol Hill and beyond.
Jasper Goodman with Politico. Thanks for doing this. Senator Hagerty is out with a stablecoin bill today. Given that that's out there and that there's been more consensus in the past on stablecoins as opposed to market structure, do you plan to move first on stablecoins ahead of market structure? And relatedly, to what extent in both of these processes do you plan to engage Democrats versus going at it alone now that you have the trifecta?
Let's go. So the bill's out, as you know. We have been working with Democrats already on the bill. You'll see co-sponsors will line up on both sides. Good news is that the bill is moving quickly. I'm actually pleasantly surprised at a place where you see very little bipartisan coalition building. The members of the committee, as well as folks like Gillibrand off the committee, are very anxious to have a win in this digital space. And so for the first time in a long time, there's a reason to take a deep breath and release it, because the legislation moving forward very quickly is happening. Good news is they have had, as French said, a lot of time working on the legislation as well. Finding the places where there are disagreement will be the key for us getting it to the president's desk. And that's where I think the task happens next, is to take a look at the component parts of Haggerty's stablecoin bill. But that's what we're moving first, is stablecoins.
In the House, and I'll speak for the Financial Services Committee and then yield to my friend GT, we're proposing that we'll essentially move the stable coins and a FIT 21 type structure, as I've now answered that question 2 or 3 times, on a similar track, meaning we're going to begin that process where we left off in the 118th Congress. And we worked hand in glove diligently with our colleagues on the Democratic side of the aisle in the House. Many of the ideas that are reflected in the market structure bill and some in the stablecoins bill reflected views from the minority party in the House. And we'll continue to do that. And you'll see that as we move forward with a set of hearings and the discussion. So I remain committed to trying to make these bills bipartisan success in the House. And certainly we'll cooperate with the senators and try to be a part of any kind of educational effort here on a bipartisan base to support their efforts here in the Senate. GT.
I have the same commitment, so I really don't have anything additional.
Great, last question, Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Jennifer Schonberger with ALGO Finance. On the campaign trail, the president said he supported the Bitcoin reserve. I'm curious what the plans are for that at this point, and would the Biden administration consider putting crypto into a sovereign wealth fund?
After you.
So one of the things that the president instructed us to do was to evaluate the idea for a Bitcoin reserve, and so that is one of the things. That's one of the first things we're going to look at as part of the internal working group in the administration. So as soon as we get all that set up, we're still waiting for some cabinet secretaries who are on the working group to get confirmed. So we're still in the very early stages of this. But that's one of the first things we're gonna look at, is the feasibility of a Bitcoin reserve. I think the concept of the sovereign wealth fund is a little separate, and you'd have to talk to Secretary Lutnick, or soon to be Secretary Lutnick, about that.
Thank you all very much.
All right, there you have it. Bunch of unexciting news. I will say that if you were expecting, that's it. Yeah, if you were expecting big news like XRP information,
Bro, that was lame as fuck.
that didn't get delivered. But it was
What kind of
pretty lame.
lame ass press conference was that? Lame ass questions. They talked about what we already knew. We already knew a stablecoin bill was going to pass. We already knew about the FIT 21 bill. That last question was by far the best question, and it was the shortest answer they gave. How whack was that?
I will say, though, that basically confirming there's going to be a stablecoin bill. Obviously, we were talking about it prior to the press conference, the importance of stablecoins, what that means to the U.S., and what that means for the banking system. It's going to be huge. So, I mean, the markets didn't like the press conference. Bitcoin sold off. I was wrong about my XRP long position there, but you can't win them all. And so, I mean, it is what it is. We do got Bitcoin at 98.5, down $2,000 from where it started.
When that last question was asked, I put in a 20x long on Bitcoin, and then when they ended it, I just closed it. It's fucking how lame. That was super lame. What's not lame is the super chats we got. I want to get to those really quick. Triple D said, "Do you think ALGO will hit its old all-time high of $2.80?" I believe it will. You think it will?
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think Algorand's going anywhere. Nathan said, "This guy's boring." I agree. He also said he bought $1 billion Caspa. Okay. That's a lot of Caspa. And then he said, "These dudes trying to talk about crypto is like giving me a presentation in high school about something I literally knew nothing about." Yeah, you could tell the reporters in the audience really had no insight.
Yeah, give me a press pass. Let me ask some questions. We'll get right to the juicy information,
What
right?
would you have asked?
I would have said, what is the role of crypto outside of what is the role of altcoins? What you have a digital asset committee. You mentioned digital assets. What does that look like? What do smart contracts look like? Are we trying to simply provide the framework for exchanges to list altcoins and buy them there, or are we putting the whole thing out there and being like, hey, decentralized finance, we want to make sure that's protected in the same way that we protect free speech? Or are we kind of pigeonholing altcoins into the hands of exchanges and banks? And then really just trying to explain, like, who are you guys working with? What companies are you meeting with? Who have you sat down and talked to? Or is it just a bunch of Bitcoin maxis in the room and you're just simply picking up the phone with a couple other people and having a quick conversation just to say you did? And then at the end of the day, you're just going to simply proceed with Bitcoin. I don't know, man. I have a lot of unanswered questions after that. I will say this should be one of many press conferences. So there should be more coming, more announcements. Hopefully the next ones have some kind of news that's good for crypto outside of, hey, we're working on some
Stablecoin bill.
Yay,
we're
working
so
on a
excited about
framework
that.
for digital assets. Yeah, that's pretty much all he said.
That's pretty lame.
They didn't have to put 4 people up there to say the same thing.
Seriously, bro. Fucking lame as hell. Dumb.
Could have had one person. You could have typed that up and then just gave it to CNN. There you go. We're working on this bill. We're working on digital asset framework.
CNN.
Yeah, dude.
Question.
Like, why do I have a press
Pay
conference for
tax
that?
on crypto or not? That's it. Ask a question.
It's pretty lame. Either way, we said we're going to cover it, so we covered it. I want to give a big thank you to today's channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Legacy Network. The Legacy app is live. It's been live. If you got an iPhone or a Google phone or Android phone, download the app. You can earn LGCT token, which currently the value, I believe, is still over $1 as I'm taking a peek here. But what it essentially allows you to do is earn while you learn, among a lot of things, like, so it's still over $1. It's at $1.12. So this token, it launched, it went live, has done very well. It got to a high of around $1.52. And then with the bloodbath we saw, we only saw a wick down around $1.09. So it stayed above $1. This is an excellent team. So highly recommend you guys go download it. Play some of the games, take some of the courses, and you'll earn some LGCT token in your wallet. So big thank you to Legacy. That'll do it for the show today. We all want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, join our Patreon. It's only $50 a month. You'll get trading calls. We got Ashley's Classroom about to open up. You got Rob, you got Rocco. It's a lot of fun in there. We're creating a community inside of Patreon as well. So join us, and if not, just join our Discord. A lot of great conversation in there. With that being said, Rocco, thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Make sure to come back tomorrow. Same place, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, if you're receiving your almanacs, take a picture, post it, tag us. We'll repost it on X. Thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.